Shalom. I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. All right, and this is Shabai from GMS Denver. And through the Spirit, I'm just reading Deuteronomy 13. I'll break that one down through the Spirit. And it starts at the top. It says, if there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. All right, so just going into, you got to remain faithful, remain committed to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Even if somebody comes and says something, and it comes to pass, and then they turn around and tell you, hey, let's go after other gods, right, or anything outside of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. Well, look, you can't listen to that prophet. All right, if there's somebody saying anything outside of the names of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, like the IUIC, they're calling on Christ, which the word Christ just means anointed, but that's what they're calling on, right? And that's another God. That's that Jesus Christ. They represent, pretty much when you think about Christ, or when they speak in that name Jesus, the first thing that pops into your mind is that cracker Jesus, right? So you're not supposed to go after other gods. That's not the gods, that the scripture speaks about. All right? And it says, saying, let us go after other gods which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams, for Yahweh your power proveth you, to know whether ye love Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, your power with all your heart and with all your soul. So if you get enchanted or enticed by another doctrine, another philosophy, other gods, well, then you were never really grounded. You were never fully grounded in this knowledge and this truth. And it could be anything, not just philosophies and religions. It could be a woman. It could be anything. It could be money. You see? It could be anything that, and you're basically going into idolatry, right? Let me grab that word idolatry really quick. Let me see. Let me just get it. I looked it up not too long ago, but let's get it real quick we'll do the Oxford Dictionary. Or we'll go idolatry. All right, so the words that come up are, the worship of idols. And then it means idol worship, idolatrism, fetishism, iconolatry, icon worship, paganism. Right, anything outside of the truth is pagan, sacrilegious, ungodliness. And then here's another definition. It says, extreme admiration, love, or reverence for something or someone. So you see that it could even be a person. It could be a woman. If you love a woman, more than you love the Lord, then you're not worthy of the kingdom, If you love money more than anything, if that's the only thing that makes you happy is money, then you're not worthy for the kingdom, So anything outside of this truth, that you're putting your admiration or your love towards, this is a foolish thing to do, and it's wickedness, right? The plain and simple, there's nothing prioritizes or above or before Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. All right, let's read verse 4. Ye shall walk after Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai your power, and fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. All right. So look, we're even supposed to be doing, who's the service of the Lord belong to? It tells you in Romans 9:4, it belongs to the Israelites. And cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he hath spoken to turn you away from Yahweh Bashem Yahushua your power. See, and that's the seriousness of it. Any teachers, anybody who's prophesying outside of the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, they're going to be put to death. Because those men or any type of leadership, when you have people teaching Yahweh or Yeshua, all of these type of church leaders, so-called church leaders, they're going to be put to death because they're not coming in the right spirit. You see? So it's serious unto death, and what we choose to admire, what we choose to worship, what we choose to put our energy into. This is verse 5. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he hath spoken to you to turn you away from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai your power, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which Yahweh Bashem Yahushai thy power commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or thy wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers. Because remember, our fathers, they knew Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right, our forefathers were not worshiping cracker Jesus. They weren't worshiping, praying to old white man with long hair and a long gray beard, long gray hair, that looked like Gandalf on fucking Lord of the Rings. You see? They plain and simple, they did not worship, pagan gods. It's because you've been put in captivity, and now you're under this delusion, strong delusion. Let me see. Let me get that word, entice. It says attract or tempt by offering pleasure or advantage. See? That's what entice means. So, other similar words are tempt, allure, lure, attract, dangle a carrot in front of. All right? Persuade, convince, lead astray, smooth talk, beguiling, seductive, irresistible, intriguing, come hither. You see, any type of that shit, somebody's bringing you outside, teaching something, trying to push or teach something that's, outside of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and wants to go, put energy into that idolatry or worship that idolatry. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be your wife, could be your son, could be your daughter. If it's not Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, if they're not pushing Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, to hell with them. See? That's what it is, man. You got to love Yahweh Bashem Yahushai more than brother, more than sister, more than father, right? Let's grab that real quick. Let's see if I can find that specific one. Yeah, it's in Matthew 10. $37. It says, "He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it." You see that? So you know what I'm saying? You can't love your father, your mother, your wife. You can't put no one before Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. This is the priority, you know? And when you start to do things that, you start to prioritize other things, that's when all the bad shit happens to you, man. You know? You got men who are of Israel, who know they're Israelites, and some of them were in leadership, and they start waxing worse and worse. And they start to have love for other things, more than they put that admiration and love toward something else, not Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and you end up getting exposed. Just look around Israel. Look around what's happening to these other camps. You see that stuff happening with all these other camps. So let's go back to Deuteronomy 13. It says, "Namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee, afar off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth." So, namely of the gods of the people around about you. And when you look around, you see all these people, and they're fucking, what the fuck is this guy doing? Stupid ass. So, like, yeah. But, I'm sorry, this idiot just parked all crazy next to me, sped up all crazy. Just to park, stupid ass. Alright, so anyway, we're back at 7. "Namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee, and far off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth." Right, so you never want to go into idol worship, man. You're not even really supposed to say the other names of other gods. That they shouldn't even come out of your mouth. Right, let me see if I can find that precept. Let me see. Yeah, Exodus. Let me see here. Exodus 23 and 13. It says, "And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the names of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth." See? So we're not even supposed to be uttering these other gods' names out, more or less putting your energy and your worship and your admiration and your love into these false gods. But that's what it is, man. This thing is deadly serious. You're coming in the wrong spirit. You're coming in the spirit of a pagan god, and you're gonna get slept, man. The Most High Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai is going to sleep your ass. And I'm talking about the long sleep. Alright? Let me see here. Deuteronomy 13. And where am I at? 8. It says, Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall thine eye pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him, but thou shalt surely kill him. Thine hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. Right? So you see, this is these are the laws we're going to be keeping in the kingdom. We can't keep this law right now. We can't. When we get a false prophet around us, we can't stone him to death, right, in Babylon, right? But if somebody comes up with some foul shit, talking about another god or other gods outside of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, well, guess what? You're gonna put that motherfucker to death by stoning him. Because you gotta understand, the heathen are still gonna have a tendency to, sin in the kingdom. We're gonna be, using them as public examples and carrying out, judgment against these heathen in the kingdom. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken it. Or wait, I read that verse. Okay, verse 10. And thou shalt stone him with stones that he die, because he hath sought to thrust thee away from the Yahweh Ba'Shem thy power, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. Right? So these were, this is when we were first out of the wilderness, keeping the laws. These were laws that, we were supposed to keep. And of course, the Israelites, we didn't keep them. This is why we're under the curses right now. But in the kingdom, this is the type of stuff. These are the type of laws we're going to be keeping. It says, and Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. See, so when, the Israelites would hear about the judgments, being carried out for the sins, and remember, this is somebody who was trying to entice you and teach you another doctrine. You see? This is like this big time right here. You can't be fucking up like that. You see what I'm saying? You start hearkening to other doctrines, and you're for a new person come into the knowledge, and you're all over the place. You're listening to IUIC, you're listening to GMS, you're listening to Wi-Fi or whatever. All these other different groups. No, you should be learning under one banner, because you got to understand that, while we Israelites, we agree on probably 90% of the doctrine, but that 10% where these other camps are going off, that's going to be your ass, because you weren't because the elect, you got to understand, the elect obtains the 100% truth, right? Let's get that real quick. And I got to close this out soon. 11:7. It says, What then Israel hath not obtained, that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. All right? And the election is going to be the ones who are going to get the 100% truth. They're going to believe the doctrine, the full doctrine. They're not going to agree on 90% and then 10% is, up in the air. It ain't going to be like that with the elect. Okay, let's go back to Deuteronomy 13. And where am I at? All right, in verse 11 it says, And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall do no more any such wickedness as this is among you. And that would be to teach the people a lesson. That's why I said, this was during the time, of Deuteronomy with Moses leading the people. Our people went off. That's why we're under the curses now. But like I said, in the kingdom, we're going to be keeping these laws. If there's a heathen, and he tries to start teaching some other god in the kingdom, he's going to get he's going to get dealt with according to the law. See? It says, if thou shalt hear say in one of the cities which Yahweh Hashem shall have given thee to dwell there, saying, certain men, the children of Belial, are gone out of among you, and have withdrawn the inhabitants of their cities, saying, let us go and serve other gods which ye have not known. Then thou shalt inquire and make search and ask diligently, and behold, if it be truth and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought among you. All right, you see. So if it's a group of men, and they're coming together and they're coming against the truth, coming against Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai in doctrine, going off in some in idolatry, worshiping other gods, then guess what? We're gonna search them down and punish them according to the law. It says in verse 15, thou shalt surely smite the inhabitants of that city with the edge of the sword, destroying it utterly, and that all that is therein, and the cattle thereof with the edge of the sword. And thou shalt gather all the spoil of it into the midst of the street thereof, and shalt burn with fire the city, and spoil thereof every whit, for Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai thy power, and it shall be in heap forever, and shall not be built again. So you see the seriousness of idolatry and the judgment that comes with it. You basically, so lucky. Let me see here. You basically got to just cut off that cancer. If there's anybody, this is what we were supposed to be doing, when we were first given the law. We weren't allowed to just let it look the other way, when people were going off in doctrines. You see? So let me see. And there shall cleave not of the cursed thing to thine hand, and that Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai may turn from the fiercenesses of his anger, and show thee mercy, and have compassion upon thee, and multiply thee as he sworn unto thy fathers. So if we keep our end of the bargain, he's going to keep his end of the bargain. That's still true now, right? But you had Israelites when we were, in the time when we had the laws and we could keep our laws, and our people didn't keep the laws. They didn't keep these laws to perfection, and this is why we're under the curses. All right. Verse 18, when thou shalt hearken to the voice of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai thy power to keep all his commandments, which I command thee this day, to do that which is right in the eyes of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right, and see, so the law is right in the eyes of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. See, right now, we're in Babylon. We're not in our kingdom. We can't keep our laws, So when we can't keep the laws, well, guess what? Our people are growing up in captivity, and they don't have the same eyes as Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. What's right in their eyes is like doing stupid shit, like eating pork, or women wearing men's apparel, or women doing, manly occupations or careers. They do shit that men are traditionally to do. So that kind of stuff is wicked, but in the eyes of these people, they don't look at it as wickedness. And that's how far our people have sunken. They're basically a degenerate plant. Once a noble vine and now a degenerate plant, right? And I'll close on that real quick because I'm at the plantation. I got to go inside. It says, yet I had planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? And when anytime Israel has worshipped idolatry or any type of idols outside of the truth, outside of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, then guess what? You're playing the harlot, and you're a degenerate plant. You're not a noble vine anymore. All right? You got 2/3 of our people that are gonna be a degenerate plant up until those missiles come. All right? So, with that, I want to give all the praise, all the glory, all the honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakodash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me the truth. Also, one acknowledge Allah Akyam, who who are pushing the truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom to the elect. Shalom.